Hey y'all, hold on one second. What's up, guys? Thank you, Abra. Thank you. I should have put this up a little earlier, but I just I was planning it all day. But my son has been driving me crazy all night. He's in he must have gotten into his Easter candy and he is sugared up and all he wants to do is talk about fishing. Hey, Linda. And I just ran him through this up last minute. So sorry for the late notice, but the stock trial, in my opinion, wasn't that interesting today. I don't know if anyone watched, but they just had this guy on that basically just went over the timeline and all that stuff. I know, Jen. He's a boy. He made me cut apart soda bottles. He made me cut apart soda bottles for cut them open and flip the top upside down, so it's like a fish trap, and he made me make 7 of them today. He went through the recycling bin and took every soda bottle out and made me make these traps. And then he wouldn't go to sleep, and he finally went to bed, so I'm here. But this is a pretty... I'll go over Valo and Stalk at the end if anyone needs an update, but this is a pretty crazy story that's kind of developing. There's not too much out yet, but I'm interested to see where this goes. It's a really sad story, actually, and it's kind of ridiculous anymore how people can get out of jail and then you'll see. But these 2 girls catching minnows. Yeah, he wants to catch minnows so then he can put them on the hooks for bigger fish. And he loves fishing, and he likes catching he likes catching all fish. You should see some of the... I think I posted one on my community tab of the big fish he caught. Hey, Risk is here. But yeah, he loves fishing. I mean, if it's 69 degrees or above, he made me make this deal with him. He's like, if it's 69 degrees or above, we get to go fishing. But he'll make me go at least 3 times a week. At least 3 times a week when it's nice out. So that means from now till September, I'll be fishing a lot. But you know what? I could probably do some we go frog hunting and stuff at night, and he'll be the Bassmasters winner, right? Hey, Nina. But yeah, he's obsessed. He's obsessed. He does good too. I wish I could show the videos. I wish YouTube wasn't the way YouTube was, because I would totally share his videos. But this kid, he caught 11 fish in 45 minutes. 3 bass, 1 really big bass, and the rest a bunch of decent sized bluegill. He puts the worm on, he takes the hook out of their mouth, he puts them back. I mean, he does everything. He's he does stuff I won't even do. But I don't even putting the worm on. He'll do it for me, but I will if I have to. But I'm not good at getting the hooks out of the fish, but he doesn't mind. Well, he wants to try trout. We haven't eaten them yet, but Dave wants to try eating a trout, so I guess they'll try it. I don't like fish. I only like really white fish that doesn't taste fishy. I'm not a fish person. I do like shrimp and clams and stuff like that. No, it isn't a bit. Look, it's better than sitting at home being on your tablet all the time. You know what I mean? I like that he's like an outdoorsy kid, because I feel like that's what it should be like for kids, outside, not on the computer all day. And man, he is that kid. Like, he'll be out there for hours in his bare feet, just in the mud, whatever. But I mean, Dave ain't complaining. He loves fishing. And then, I just end up going. I don't mind it. But by the third time of the week, I'm a little over it, but he's never over it. All right, so let me talk about this story. So, these two girls, one's name, let's pull this one. One's name is Ivy Webster. I believe she's the one on the left, and the other is Brittany Brewer. I think that's Ivy's the one on the left and Brittany's the one on the right. An Amber Alert went out for them. I think it was yesterday, when they didn't show up to their family. All right, so it says an Amber Alert for Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer was issued by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol when the girls didn't show up at their family ranch. The Oklahoma Highway Patrol confirmed on Twitter that the endangered missing advisory had been canceled and the young girls were found deceased. They were reported missing early Monday morning, and Jesse McFadden was suspected in their disappearance. Ivy's mom told Fox 23 that the girls were staying overnight at McFadden's for a sleepover with his stepdaughter. McFadden was actually due in court on Monday to stand trial for allegedly eliciting child porn, according to police records. And the investigation into their deaths is ongoing. So, in a nutshell, these two girls went to sleep over at their friend's house. And this guy, Jesse McFadden, was their stepdad. And hey, butterfly kisses. Yeah, it's sad. Hey, Joneson, I know, isn't it wild? So they go to look for, they're sleeping over at a friend's house, and they were supposed to go swimming, and they never showed up. And hey, cool gamer. And so they went, I guess when they found out the girls were missing and where they were, the police, looked up this guy and realized he was supposed to be in court today for, child porn. And they got a search warrant for his house. And when they arrived on the property, they found 7 bodies. 7. So they haven't confirmed it yet, but they are implying that one of the bodies, they may have confirmed it, but I haven't seen where they confirmed it because I don't think they've identified the bodies, but they're implying that one of the bodies is Jesse McFadden. 2 of them is the 2 girls that were missing. The stepdaughter's 2 brothers, and her mother, I think. So like his wife. So that would be all 7 of them, I'm pretty sure. So he sounds like it was like a murder unaliving type deal where he killed them all and then himself. He is a registered SO who lives in Oklahoma with his wife, her daughter, and her 2 sons. And then they said the bodies of the 7 individuals were found at the residence when police searched the home in connection with their disappearance. It was believed the missing girls were staying there for a sleepover. Many suspect that McFadden and the girls were among those dead, but at this time the identities have not been confirmed. All right, so I guess they're updating like every half hour. So Brittany's dad speaks out. He has broken his silence since discovering his daughter's body was found along with 7 other victims where Jesse McFadden lived. Brittany was an outgoing person, he said. She actually was selected to be Miss Henryetta, which is like the town they live in, I believe. Coming up in July for this Miss National Miss Pageant in Tulsa. Brittany's father, Nathan. Oh, I guess they're saying like he said it. And now she ain't gonna make it because she's dead. She's gone, he said. It's sad. They put out an Amber Alert because they believe the children were in imminent danger and seriously bodily injury or harm, and because they were under 18. They haven't identified the mob, but they have done a press conference, which I'll play, and I'm going to show some Facebook posts that I know, how sad is this whole thing? Like, it's crazy. I'm curious, like, what went down. He got out of jail in 2020. So he's been back since 2020. I don't know if he went right back to his wife, or maybe if they just got back together, or maybe she like caught him. I don't know, but why children were even over there is just crazy to me. Obviously, I don't think these girls knew that, you know, her stepdad was this type of person. And it's just so scary. Like, you never know, you know, who someone could be. You know what I mean? Like, you never, it's just scary nowadays. And I don't know, maybe it was always like this and it just didn't feel like this because there wasn't social media back then. But now that there's social media, it's like so much more scarier because it's just constantly like what you hear all the time is just crazy stuff like this, and it makes you like not want to let your kid ever go anywhere. Let me pull this up. Give me a second. But they haven't really like you know, gone too much into it yet. So let me pull up the press conference. Here it is. All right. Let me just reshare to make sure I hit the. Yeah. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's just because, you know, social media now, like that I feel like that, but you know, maybe in the 70s it was like, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, it was like that too. We just didn't know about it. Hey, Abra. Hey, K-Braze.
Bassett Furniture.
I mean, we know there's always been crime, but you know what I mean? Like,
we carefully
it just seems like so much more now that we're more aware on social media.
The work of our artisans.
Save 25% on furniture. Going on now.
Which I feel like is a good thing and a bad thing.
Allow our design team to make your dream space a reality.
We're going to take you over to Okmulgee County, where the sheriff is expected to release new information about the 2 girls that were found.
Can you guys hear that?
There now.
Are we streaming?
Yes. Okay, we good? Yep. You're not.
You're blocking my shot, sorry.
Okay. All right. What time was it? Sorry.
So we're letting you know we're live on 6 right now.
We're live.
Approximately at 1500 hours, we arrived out here with a search warrant. We've searched the property and we've located 7 bodies that we are in the process of trying to get the ME to be able to confirm identities of these individuals that were found. We're not going to discuss any of the facts of the case or anything like that, but we are no longer looking. We believe to have found everything that we were seeking this morning. So, our hearts go out to the families and friends, schoolmates, and everyone else, and it's just a tragedy in Okmulgee County.
Can you tell us where they were found on the property?
We're not going to disclose anything, but we've been tramping around. So,
And Okmulgee County Sheriff Rice, when you say you found everything that you're looking for, are you insinuating that we're no longer looking for these juveniles?
We believe that we have found the persons. We just are waiting for confirmation. So
all the missing people.
Yes.
Does that include McFadden? Does that include McFadden?
Yes. But again, we cannot confirm anybody until the ME's office comes back and confirms all of them. So,
Sheriff, do you have any idea what led to this?
we have no idea at this time. We're still conducting an investigation. We're still following up the leads, still doing everything that we can just in case there's something that is left open. We don't want to miss anything, so everybody's still actively going. I want to thank the Violent Crime Task Force, the DA's office, Sheriff's Department, Henryetta PD, Okmulgee PD, OSBI, and all the other entities that come out here and assisting with this. So again, it's a tragic day in
Yeah,
Okmulgee
Risk, he
County
did.
again, and we just
No, he was. I believe he was one of the bodies they did find in there. So, from what they're implying, they haven't identified them yet, but the two girls who were missing. All right, so Jesse, the guy who was supposed to be in court for PORN, his wife, his stepdaughter, his two stepsons, and his stepdaughter's two friends. Yeah, he did. They're implying that he did, that his body was there as well.
ask that you pray for the families.
At this point, are these deaths considered foul play?
Any unattended death is foul play. So, again, we don't want to speculate. We're just going to wait until we find out what all the facts are and everybody's identified.
Is there any wounds on these bodies that we can?
We can't go into any of that at this time. OSBI is going to be a spokesperson after this point, after this notification that I'm doing now, and then he will reach out to the media.
Would you consider this a homicide investigation?
Yes, any unattended death is a homicide.
Sheriff, was the break finding?
In a nutshell, these two girls went missing, right? They were sleeping at their good friend's house. But they didn't show up to go swimming the next day. Their parents got nervous and called the police. When the police asked their parents, like, oh, where were they staying? She said, oh, yeah, their friend so-and-so McFadden's house. Well, they looked up this girl and found out that her dad just got out of jail in 2020 for RAPE and was about to have to go to court on Monday for PORN. They immediately put out a Amber Alert because they considered them endangered, and then they got a search warrant for his home and went there, and that's where they found them all. I'm pretty sure he did it to himself. I mean, I can't say I know because I don't, but that's what it sounds like. They haven't verified any of that, but it sounds like he killed them and did it to himself. Like, they're not really, there's not enough information. It's still like developing right now, so they're not really sharing that information, but that's what it sounds like to me. Like, maybe he knew he was going to go to jail for a long time, and he had just got out of jail in 2020, so he was like, F it, I'm taking everyone with me. I don't know, but that's what it seems like to me, is like what I'm saying. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting. But I can't say for sure because it's still developing.
This vehicle over here,
No,
across the road.
No, sir.
you got a search warrant to go in here?
Yes.
Was that when had you discovered anything before this? You got a search warrant, went over there and looked?
We had to wait on the search warrant to go and look. We follow the statutes around here, so just covering our basis and going in proper like we're supposed to.
Have any weapons been recovered?
We're not going to discuss any of the details. We're just sticking to, what we have right now.
What was your knowledge of?
Sir?
Have the families been notified?
Yes, or we wouldn't be doing the notification to y'all.
It makes me want to background check anywhere that my kid goes to stay. I mean, I have a boy, so it doesn't worry me as much, but it's still worrying. You know what I mean? It's like if your kid goes and stays anywhere, it's like, yeah, he raped someone. That's why he was in jail before, up until 2020. He got out in 2020, and then was living with his wife and her kids. His wife Holly, I believe her name was, and I believe they're implying that they are all deceased because they were all missing as well. And he had court today for child PORN today. Hey, Pecan. So I'm just guessing. This is just the vibe I get, is that he knew he was going away for a minute and just, I don't know, went off. I don't know, but I don't really know how this would have went down any other, I don't know how it could have went down any other way. I guess somebody could have killed them all, but I don't, somebody else, but I don't know. It is pretty crazy. So in a nutshell, these two girls went to sleep over. Yeah, it's new. These two girls, Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer, went to go sleep over their good friend's house. When they didn't show up to go swimming at their family ranch the next day, their family got worried and reported them missing. Well, when they were reported missing, I guess the police, looked into who they were with, and the girl that they're sleeping over her house, her stepfather, just got out of jail in 2020 for RAPE and had court on Monday for child PORN. And they immediately put an Amber Alert out because he's a registered SO and the circumstances, and they got a search warrant for his home. And when they arrived to the home, they found 7 bodies. Now, from what they are implying, but have not officially confirmed because they have not officially identified them yet, they're implying that the bodies are the 2 girls that were missing, their friend, the McFadden girl, who was the stepdaughter of the guy who had court. So the 2 friends, the stepdaughter, the stepdad, the stepdaughter's bio mom, and the stepdaughter's bio 2 brothers. So it sounds like, in my opinion, he offed the whole family and then offed himself. But I guess it's possible that somebody could have came and took them all out. But based on his criminal history, I am leaning towards he went out with a bang because he knew he was going to go back to jail for a long time. That's just my guess. I think so. It's Okmulgee, which was the name of the same county where the other men were killed, who trespassed on that, what's it called? Lot, the car lot where Oh my God, why can't I think of the word for it? Well, anyway, they trespassed on that guy's lot and he shot them and then he dismembered them and dumped them in a river and there was like body parts all in the river. I think that's the same county. I mean, it's unless there's several Okmulgee counties, but it's a pretty like unique name, I feel like. Yeah. Oh, I've been following that, Kayla. They think it's the smiley face killers. Like they think it could be related to the Austin, Texas one, that it could be the smiley face killers. And all of the people who are found in that lake keep coming from Rainy Street. And the smiley face killers, it's a pretty crazy theory and it's pretty out there, but it is really, really crazy to me how many very good looking, athletic, college age students keep ending up in rivers after a drunken night. Okmulgee. Oh, thank you, Sandy Pink. Okmulgee. I thought it was like, because it's spelled like Okmulgee. I like how it sounds. I like saying Okmulgee, but we'll say Okmulgee. Thank you. Has there? There is? Oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, that Austin, Texas thing is pretty crazy. There's also like a manhunt going on in Texas right now because this guy, he shot like 5 of his neighbors because they asked him to like chill out, like shooting gunfire because he was like doing target practice, and they asked him to chill out, and he killed them all, and he took off. And the guys, yeah, here too, Linda. Actually, we've had one that was actually in the documentary from my area. Like if you've seen the Smiley Face Killer documentary, Tommy Booth, that was like 20 minutes from me. And then we had another kid, Shane Montgomery, who died of similar circumstances, and I was only like a grade or 2 above him. Or no, a couple more, maybe like 4 grades above him. But I think it is too, Sandy. I remember hearing that. I think it was like a tribe or something. Like, yeah, that's what I heard, that it was a tribe. Yeah, the Latino guy with the tattoo. Yep. Lori, one of my mods, was actually like telling us about this. I can't remember the name of the channel. If anyone remembers, it was that's in my chat. It's like a farm down that area, Plum Road, something like that. And they are like assisting in the manhunt for that guy, and they're documenting it, which is pretty interesting. I haven't gotten to really watch it, but I was thinking about checking that out later because I was like, oh, I could totally get down for, watching a manhunt as long as that guy doesn't hurt anybody else. But it's just crazy. People I feel like April has been like the month from hell. Like everything's just going wrong in April. But yeah, let me I'm going to continue this real quick. We'll get through it because there's only a couple more minutes left. Oklahoma was once all Indian territory. Oh, I didn't know that. Like they get driven out all to Oklahoma.
But the families have been notified.
Sheriff, can you talk about who else was involved? When initially we were looking for 4 to 5 people. Were there other people reported missing?
Nobody was reported missing. There were other family members related to the one family.
Can you say how many of these 7 are juveniles?
No, I can't at this time.
There's no ongoing threat to the public. Everything's contained right here.
That is correct, sir. We believe that there's no other threat to the community, and we will notify if we believe that anything else has changed that.
Sheriff, can you talk about the impact this has obviously on you as a community member, on your agency, on your deputies?
the family's first, our community's second. You know, my guy is third, and I'm the last person that needs to be worried about. So,
Sheriff, you've been sheriff here in Okmulgee County for decades. I mean,
I like
has
this
county
guy.
ever seen anything like this?
not this magnitude, no. We've had our share of troubles and woes, but this one's
It's
pretty
pretty
bad.
straightforward. And
So,
Did you know about Jesse McFadden prior to any involvement today at this property?
not going to get into any details. I mean, there's facts out there. You can back those up 100% if you need to. We'll share more in the future, but there was nothing that alarmed us. I mean, so.
How will your office and the community, come together for something like this?
can you just say there was nothing that alarmed us?
Our guys won't be done for a week. There's just still a lot to do. So our days are surrounded with typing and warrants and following through, and they won't get to think about things for a while.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
these bodies.
that's what I think too, Russ. But that's what I was gonna say, Tony. How did nothing alarm them about that guy?
So, anyway, I want to thank y'all very much for coming out. I appreciate y'all respecting the family, and please, still be respectful.
Maybe I retake back what I
Have a lot of
said.
freedom. Thank you.
Like, how could you not be alarmed by that man? Like, considering his situation. Like, what in the heck? That's crazy. All right, hold on. I just wanted to show. I saw I saved like a Facebook post. It's kind of, oh wait, I didn't share it. Hold on, I'll find it. I wish there was updates with the Madeline Kingsbury case. Like, I wonder if they've gotten any further in that. Like, if her boyfriend is considered a suspect or not. Hold on a minute. Post, and it made me really sad. It was her grandma. So here is the Western. Oh, I didn't share it. Hold on. Oh my gosh. This is the Western Oklahoma fire coverage. They said, it is with broken and heavy hearts we have just seen that the bodies of 14-year-old Ivy Webster, they were only 14 and 16, and 16-year-old Brittany Brewer have been found among 7 bodies found in Okmulgee County. Also among those 7 found was the body of Jesse McFadden, who was believed to have the 2 girls from Henryetta per the Amber Alert this morning. The other 4 bodies have not been identified at this time. Yeah, I have no idea, Tony. I'm very confused on how, like, first off, if he had such serious charges, like, why in the world is this woman bringing her own children around this guy? I just hate that people do that. Like, put their kids in a situation like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. That if somebody has some serious charges that have to do with children and REP, you probably don't want them ever around your kids. Unless it's like some false accusation that never happened or something like that. But like, this guy was going to court again today for child PORN. Like, come on, man. He's been out since 2020. And he was married to this woman, Holly, and she had her daughter and 2 sons living there, and now they're all dead. That I think they're all dead. They're implying that they're all dead, but they haven't positively identified them yet. This was a post that someone reposted, but it was by the grandma. It said, asking for prayers right now. My daughter called me at 11 p.m. last night, letting me know my granddaughter, Ivy Webster, has been missing. This was before they found out. She was supposed to be home by 5 p.m. yesterday. She was out with her best friend and her family in McAlester, Oklahoma. Their phones are off, and the girl's parents just rang. The deputies have put out a bolo and are pinning the phones. I've called 9 hospitals in the area with no luck. Pass this along. Ivy is 5'1", 120 pounds, brownish orange hair. Which, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to start doing background check. I mean, there's no way that lady didn't know. Like, there's no way she didn't know he had to go to court for child PORN and that he was in jail for REP. And if she didn't know, then that just blows my mind. I guess she possibly she may not have known, but still, that's just insane to me. Like, how do you not know? Like, I know everything, and they were married. Like, I know everything my hubby has done in the past. Everything. No way would I marry someone and not know their background. Yeah, man. That's just... Yeah, they're probably desensitized, Linda. You're right. Look how pretty she was, too. This was the, I guess, his house. I'm not sure, like, where they were found in particular or anything. They haven't really released any of those details. Oh. Here's the other girl. They're both adorable. Look at the Bigfoot. It's just sad. Yeah, so it's still developing. They're just updating as it goes along. I don't know how much we'll find out quickly, but I feel like we might find out stuff pretty quickly because unless there's somebody else involved, but if there's not and he is the perp, then I don't know that they'll really keep that information, but they are minors, so I don't know. This is the father of Brittany speaking out, Brittany Brewer, the second one that I showed.
Just 33 days.
Second girl.
Choose your in-stock fabric and we'll special order your sofa. Plus, your special order sofa arrives in 33 days or it's free. It's a bold offer only from Bob Mills.
Sorry for that.
Travis, thank you. And the families of the 2 girls were holding out hope for the best, but of course now their worst
Y'all can
nightmare
hear it, right?
has come true.
Our team coverage continues this afternoon with Caitlin Deggs.
Can you guys hear it? They changed like the how you share stuff and the sound, so it's like annoying and it's confusing because they won't let me pick by my monitor. They only let me pick by my window. So
Caitlin, you spoke to Brittany Brewer's father. What do you know?
Well, Tatum, Brittany Brewer's father is devastated. She was found dead along with her friend, 14-year-old Webster. They were found dead along with McFadden and several others. The massive manhunt has been happening all day after Brittany went to spend the weekend with the McFadden family and was supposed to be home last night, but never arrived. Her father says she has spent the weekends with McFaddens in the past, going to McAllister to visit a ranch, and everything had always turned out well. He's still processing the news that his little girl is never coming home.
Brittany was an outgoing person. She was selected to be Miss Henryetta in the coming up in July for the Miss National Miss pageant in Tulsa, and now she ain't gonna make it because she's dead. She's gone.
Man.
And Jesse McFadden was supposed to stand trial today in Muskogee County, where he was charged in 2017 with sexual communication with a teenage girl while he was in prison at the time. Live in Henryetta, Caitlin Deggs, Oklahoma's Own, News on 6.
Like, I feel like it had to have been a situation where he was just like, I'm going out with a bang or something. You know what I mean? Like, considering that they've been there before, they've never had any issues, you know, I don't know. It's just, it's crazy. But I'm definitely going to stay on top of it. Okay, so here's a little more. Let me just read this last paragraph, which has a little more detail to kind of like, you know. Multiple law enforcement and medical examiner are outside Jesse McFadden's home and the property waiting on a search warrant. Jesse is a convicted felon who was supposed to be in court on a child PORN related charge today. Over the weekend, Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer had a sleepover with Tiffany McFadden, Jesse's stepdaughter. They were supposed to go swimming on a ranch in McAllister, but never showed. No one has heard Ivy, Brittany, Tiffany's two brothers, Jesse, or his wife Holly. Or nobody has heard from Ivy, Brittany, Tiffany's two brothers, Jesse, or his wife Holly. I spoke to Ivy's mother, who said Ivy's Life 360, a phone tracking service, was turned off. She was unaware of the McFadden's criminal history. She says it was extremely unlike her to respond to texts or messages or calls. That's horrifying. I mean, I don't know what other situation it could be unless somebody wanted revenge on the man. And well, so here's all right. He was charged and convicted of RAPE, and he went to jail, and then he got out in 2020. And while he was in jail, I guess he had communications with a minor, and now they're taking him to court for that. I don't know if maybe, I don't know. I guess maybe because it happened right around COVID. I don't, like, when he got out of jail and they were waiting till he got out of jail to try him again. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but yeah. But let me just do a little rundown of the trials. So I'm caught up with that. But Tammy's sister testified. She was like past couple of days, and I think she did a pretty good job. She did a good job explaining, like the dynamics stuff. It was really interesting to hear from Tammy Daybell. So if you haven't heard Tammy's testimony, it's definitely worth going back. I'll go over some of it if they have, like, I'm reading Nate Eaton's tweets. I listened to it, but I babysit in the morning, so it's really hard for me to take notes because I watch a 6-month-old and she just started crawling and moving, and she will not sit still. So it makes it very hard for me to take notes, besides when she's sleeping. So it's just easier to do this. And then from what I listen to, I can like throw my own 2 cents in there. But today they start off. Oh, I guess I thought Tammy Daybell started in the beginning today. Tammy Daybell's sister, sorry, William, but maybe she didn't. Maybe it was like a replay they were playing. But what was I listening to then? Maybe I was listening to the other day. Let me see. Because I was listening to the coroner. Maybe that was last time. I can't be. I'm so confused now. All right, I'm just going to read what he has for today. So they had a Keely Coleman, a senior DNA analyst. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. They did DNA profiles. They explained what a DNA profile is. They took DNA profiles from Lori, Tylee, and Melanie Gibb. Oh, I remember this. So I believe they found Lori's hair or some kind of DNA on a piece of duct tape that was on JJ. So that's pretty damning, because she has been acting like she had no part of this whatsoever. And even to her sister on the phone, if anyone heard that phone call I played the other night, it was so sad. Her sister was screaming at her, and she was like, "You don't believe I would ever do that, Summer. It's not me. I'm not that person. You too, Pecan." And she acted like she had nothing to do with it. And here, her hair is stuck on a piece of duct tape used to wrap JJ. So, and any woman here who has hair, especially long hair like Lori Vallow, like I do, knows anytime you're doing anything, your hair gets stuck on everything. I'm constantly pulling hair off everything. I have to put my hair back when I cook because my hair is just everywhere. But that's pretty damning that her hair was stuck on a piece of tape used to wrap JJ. I don't really... The sample was taken off adhesive that it was received on, and then a portion was cut and put into a test tube. He explains how he came to that conclusion. I'm just going to keep going then, because that's basically... All right, so the tape with Lori's hair was found on the outside of the plastic bag wrapped around JJ's body. We know that duct tape was used on JJ's wrists, ankles, and mouth. More tape was also used on the plastic wrapped around his body. Oh, maybe that's why I was having trouble, because I went back. I think I went backwards. No, I didn't. Okay. So that was like the big thing today for sure. Let me see what else they got. All right, so next was Rick Wright. He was the next witness called by the state. He's a special investigator for the FBI. He was contacted by Rexburg Police, and under the Federal Kidnapping Act, the FBI was able to get involved because the child was under 12. Fairly early on, we determined JJ's sibling Tylee could not be located. So they just go on about how, how they got involved, how they met with Ian Pulowski, which is Melanie's new husband, right? I have no idea, Kevin. No idea. But I think Lori is there's killer women in this sense. I mean, Letitia Stalk was a total killer woman, and Lori sounds like she was part of it too. But so he says they met with Ian Pulowski, which, all right, so that's her niece's husband. That was, if I remember correctly, Melanie Monroe, who was with Brandon, divorced him and got with this guy Ian right away. After the conversation, so he said he spoke with Ian, and after the conversation, Wright says his concern was for his concern for the children's safety increased. He was asked to consensually record conversations he was a party to. Wright says Ian agreed and recorded some conversations he had with Melanie P., his wife, Lori, Alex, and Chad. I'm right about that, right? There's not another Melanie. I'm pretty sure it's her niece. Okay. The recording device belonged to Rexburg Police Department, and they have copies of the conversation. Wright says the FBI agents were brought in to assist in the case. Let me see. I'm just going to skip to important parts. It appears Alex started residing in Idaho the evening of September 1st. Based on his cell phone data, he moved from St. George, Utah to Rexburg the evening of the 1st, and his device began to spend its evening at the Pioneer Road apartment. Beginning September 5th, the device began to go to another unit in a complex. The next slide, so they're showing a slideshow. The next slide showed Alex Travel's activity data points based on his cell phone as he went to and from Yellowstone on Sunday. So we know that was the last time Tylee was seen at Yellowstone. And then the data points come from GPS, Wi-Fi, and cell phone tower data. So this is what they're compiling together. And Alex's device left a Rexburg Maverick. I'm guessing that's a gas station. At 11:32 a.m. on night 8, we began to see this data trail breadcrumbs as it goes to the West Yellowstone entrance. The device goes to Old Faithful, then further into the park, and eventually leaves the park at 6:40 p.m. There were stops at Old Faithful and the nearby cafeteria around 3. Wright says photos of Tylee, Alex, and JJ were taken on the boardwalk at Old Faithful at 3:49 p.m. The pictures were recovered on Lori's iCloud account. These photos were the last known images of Tylee. They show him moving throughout the park. He didn't see many unusual stoppings. There was a stop for a barbecue restaurant that was close to Yellowstone. He could not identify much of anything to investigate with the Yellowstone trip. After Alex's device returns to Lori's apartment, it goes to Maverick gas station for 10 minutes around 9:43 p.m. It then goes back to Lori's apartment and then to Alex's apartment. There are several data points on Alex's device in Lori's apartment early on September 9th at 2:42 a.m. until 8:49 a.m. So they're at Lori's from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. He says he observed all the activity on Alex's device for a month of September. Alex was often in Lori's apartment from 8 to midnight, and then the device would go into Alex's apartment. It would stay there until morning, sometimes as late as noon. This was the only time I observed it go to apartment 175 between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m. So this is the only night it did something different. Other data points were recorded on Alex's phone at 4:37, 4:39, 4:41, 5:14, 6:47, and 8:49. So he departs Alex's apartment at 9 a.m. and travels north to Chad Daybell's house. So this is when they believe they get rid of Tylee's body, I guess at 9:15 in the morning. Numerous data points were recorded between 9:15 a.m. and 9:45 at the Daybell residence. That's a pretty quick time. At 11:52, It stops at a Del Taco for 10 minutes. Ew, so you're telling me that this man dismembered this poor girl, burned her, unless they did this later, and then stopped at a Del Taco and ate afterwards? It's disgusting. Oh my God. Can you imagine doing that? And the way that they described how Tylee was found, and then going to get food at a Del Taco. Oh, that makes my stomach turn. Alex was at the Daybell property. A data point appears at the shed at 9:21 a.m. There's another data point at 10:57 a.m. The gate allowed a vehicle to drive to the back part of the property. Then there was a raccoon text Chad sent to Tammy Monday, September 9th at 11:53 a.m. telling her he had been burning limb debris when he saw a raccoon and had to kill and bury it in the family pet cemetery. So clearly they were burning her body. This is what it sounds like to me at 11:53 at 11 o'clock in the morning that day. And then he goes to Del Taco and gets food. And then Chad was clearly part of this because he was there with Alex and texts his wife and says, he's burning limbs. What a freaking word to use, too. Coupled with the text and data points by the fire pit, they certainly set some red flags for us. He says the human remains were found buried near the data points, the remains of Tylee Ryan. And then they show his device the last time JJ was seen alive. He went back and forth between Lori's apartment and his apartment between 4:29 p.m. and 12:11 a.m. His device doesn't move from his apartment between 12:11 a.m. and 9:41 a.m. At 9:41 a.m., the device travels from the apartments to Chad Daybell's home, where it arrives at 9:55. By 10:12, Alex's device departs the residence southbound until Rexburg and goes to Lori's apartment at 10:22 and stays there till 11:14. So that's, when they did that to JJ too, which is JJ's remains were ultimately found by the pond and Tylee's were found buried by the fire pit, and the data points match where they were. They also have we also see an image of the Jeep used in Brandon Bordeaux's Arizona shooting. It has tinted windows. A Mexican restaurant. So I guess they have receipts that he could have been in that Jeep that was used to shoot at Brandon. His device was at a gun range, the gun club, this Unified Sportsman Gun Club in Rexburg. He went to the shooting range twice, but between visits, he went to his apartment, Lori's apartment, Walmart, and Chad Daybell's house. This is just all receipts and stuff they talk about. They go over every data point, but I think those were the two main data points, so I'm just going to cover them. Yeah, right, Linda? Same. Put them in Gen Pop, please. Sorry, I'm just going through because I'm not going to go over everything. It's just everywhere that Alex was, which I guess to some, all the details might be important, but just like he was at Chad's house, he was at Lori's house, he was at this Mexican restaurant. So when they crossed him, they said, well, that's not enough time to dig a hole, dig a grave, chop up roots around the grave, find stones. 17 minutes is not enough time to do all that. But I think they're forgetting that Chad was a grave digger and he could have had things prepared for him already. Like, it sounds like he could have had things prepared already, just in my opinion. Chad definitely was part of it to an extent, Autopsies. If somebody performed an autopsy. Oh, I guess he did Tammy's autopsy. Okay. Well, this is interesting. They asked if when a body is exhumed, does it make it more difficult to do an autopsy? He says most of the time the deceased person has been embalmed, so it makes their tissues stiffer, but that also helps preserve the organs and tissues. So it's not too hard. He says Tammy's casket was dry and the conditions were fairly good when it came time to do the autopsy. He asks them to describe how an autopsy is done. He explained that the entire body is checked over, fluids are taken, body parts are examined. It's a very thorough exam. Samples are collected during an autopsy to assess under a microscope. Bruises, cuts, and scrapes are also examined under a microscope because they give information about how long the injury has been on the body. And let me just say, I did not like the coroner at all. If anyone heard her testimony, I don't know. The deputy coroner, she at least admitted, she was like, she had some foam coming up out of her mouth. I was pretty new to being a coroner, so it was concerning to me. I had Googled it. I even Googled, poisoning your wife because I had never seen that amount of foam. It had bothered me. But then she said the regular coroner came. She was just a deputy coroner, so it wasn't really like her call anymore. And that other lady, they were like, did you see anything strange? She was like, no, I didn't see anything weird. Like, she didn't really sound like she really did too much of an investigation into it. You know what I mean? But also, his son backed him up and said she was throwing up the night before and he had seen it. So I guess maybe they believed that, she was sick or something. I don't know. He said Tammy's cause of death was asphyxia and her manner of death was homicide. They asked what that means, and he said it's simply a process by which a person is deprived of oxygen. They're not allowed to take sufficient oxygen for their life to continue. He says there was no outward visible bruises or injuries that showed she died of those injuries. He explains there was no indication that Tammy had a history of seizures and her brain was totally normal. There are a number of ways people can be asphyxiated with suffocation, neck compression, anything that impairs someone's ability to breathe normally. When someone stops breathing, they lose consciousness, but their heart can continue to beat for a time. He says they looked at pesticides and other potential drugs, and there was nothing in her system that played a role in her death. There were bruises on Tammy's arms that happened in the hours around the time of her death. They are consistent with somebody being restrained and would be consistent with asphyxia being the cause of death as well. Blake asked about seizures and whether he has conducted autopsies of people with seizure issues. He says yes, there are often tongue injuries and bowel or bladder issues, and Tammy had neither. And I've had a seizure before, and I can tell you right now, there's always a tongue injury or some kind of injury like that. It would be uncommon for a 49-year-old woman like Tammy to start developing seizures. Nothing in Tammy's medical record showed she had a seizure or heart issues. Testing was done for intoxicants. Blake asked if this means poisons. He says yes, it includes that. They tested for hundreds of intoxicants, illicit drugs, and over-the-counter medications, along with insecticides, cyanide, heavy metals, phosphate positions, nerve agents. None of those were found. We did a lot more testing in this case than we normally would, and everything came back negative except for the medication she was prescribed. Adding that it's one of the most extensive autopsies he's ever been involved in. The optimal substance to test is blood because Tammy had been embalmed. Liver samples were sent to be tested. He looks directly at the jury while explaining all this. There was not a toxicological explanation for her death. he said, for the most part, her organs appeared normal, but there was fluid in her lungs and a frothy, dry foam in her airways. They show a picture of Tammy's face that shows the foam coming from her mouth. Pink foam is a manifestation of pulmonary edema. He has conducted other autopsies where this foam has been present. Pulmonary edema is a physical manifestation of an underlying process. We most commonly see this kind of setting in opioid intoxication. It can be seen in drownings, heart failure, any number of things that can cause pulmonary edema. Whatever caused pulmonary edema would be the cause of death. He says this played a part in him determining asphyxia was the cause of death. He located the bruises on Tammy's body. And let me see. There was bruises on Tammy's upper right arm, on the lower right arm, a mark on the chest above her left breast, and a blue dot on her left arm over the bicep. On the diagram of the back, there are bruises on the back of the right upper arm, on one of the lower part of the arm, and one on the left arm. They show the up-close photos. It was more than likely, the bruises were on Tammy's body before she died, because once circulation stops, it's much harder to cause a hemorrhage. He says he looked at other causes of death and did not find them to be likely in Tammy's death, and that he believes it was asphyxia. I can never say that word. And homicide. All right, and that pretty much does it for the day for that. And staff was kind of boring today. I'll go over it, but the only thing that was a huge piece of information that came out was that Letitia had met with her psychologist. Hold on. Oh, sorry. I needed my mic by accident. Hold on. I'll get it for you. Oh, they did show her web searches today, which we could go over. But she met with her criminal defense psychologist or something like that. And I'm trying to find today. I went a little too far back. All right. Here we go. The morning began with learning that the defense's forensic psychologist met with Letitia Stalk at the jail for 3 hours yesterday. And the prosecutor was not happy. Said, I'm at a loss because he doesn't know what was discussed. Sounds like there's a possibility she could be testifying. Could be a possibility. They could have been preparing her to testify. So keep that in mind. He said he wants to meet with the defense's forensic psychologist before she testifies so he has the ability to cross-examine her, because he wants to know what they talked about, which he's supposed to know. The next witness is Kevin Clark. He's an intelligence analyst. This is Stalk, by the way. I've moved on to Stalk, so she may be testifying, guys. He just talked about how it wasn't typical for her to back in the garage, and she had done that. He goes through a very detailed timeline of everything, like what everyone was doing. Ashley, Portillo, that's who I'm reading off of. She has all the tweets of the timeline if you want to see it. But she's my go-to. Like I said, even though I watch them, I don't have time to take notes. So I just like read these and then comment on like, what I heard and things like that too. So it's just easier for me because she kind of like just focuses on the important parts, and that way I don't have to go through all kinds of extra stuff that didn't need to be brought up. Oh, and you guys saw, I don't know if I went over this, but last week they showed her potentially confessing, and she tried to say that Lena helped her move Gannon's body, which I don't believe because she said some other weird things that just didn't make sense. But I'm curious to see if they, well, I guess they're not, because they're going to be resting their case tomorrow, I think. I thought they would maybe have like, the child psychologist that they have talk to the kid to get information from. I thought maybe they would have that on to give like Lena's account. But I don't know now because I'm pretty sure they're resting their case tomorrow. I don't know if they'll have the time to add that in, but that would have been interesting to me. So I don't know. We'll see. So we're still going with the timeline. All right. So then on the morning of January 30th, so this is like a couple days after everything happened, after Letitia and Harley spent the night at Janine's house. So remember, she goes to the hospital. Harley and Janine pick her mom up at the hospital, and then Letitia's in the back texting if she can stay at Janine's house. Well, there's a weird chain of text messages. Hold on. There's a weird chain of text messages. Whoever is using Harley's phone said they want to go to the Stout home and pick up their belongings without being bothered. He testified he believes it was Letitia using Harley's phone to text Al. Harley's phone. You set my mom up so you could be with your ex-wife. I hate you. And then Al responds, well, I love you. I'm sorry you feel that way. Which I can't see Harley texting Al that. But I think it was Letitia trying to make him feel bad. In the early afternoon of January 30th, Letitia did an interview with KKTV. Clark testified that Letitia mentioned Gannon's name about a dozen times during that interview. Clark then said Letitia mentioned I, me, or my more than 100 times. So keep that in mind. She mentioned Gannon's name 12, and I, me, or my over 100 times. Definitely narcissistic tendencies. All right, so he's now reviewing web searches on Letitia Stout's phone 2 days before Gannon's disappeared. All right, I think this is so important because I think there is a lot of evidence that it was premeditated. I think it was like the fact that she Googled, I hate my stepson, and that she talked about bath salts, that she Googled before she killed him. Like that morning, she Googled, if I turn my phone off, can my parents find me? Why would she be Googling that if she wasn't planning on killing him? So in my opinion, she was 100% premeditating it. So here's her searches. Jobs, employment in Los Angeles. Find real military singles. So clearly she just wants somebody to take care of her. Military dating and singles. Parenting should be 4 people, not 1. I'm overdoing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help. If you aren't involved in your kid's life, you are shitty. My husband's ex-wife does nothing for her kids. I wonder if my husband's ex-wife is sending me a Valentine's Day card since I am raising her kids. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently. Find me a rich guy who wants me to take care of his kids. Find a guy who wants me to take care of his kids and get paid. Apartments for rent in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 1 bed, 1 bath apartments in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Craigslist South Florida jobs. What about her daughter? One bed, one bath. Orlando jobs and Disney on Craigslist. Now here's another crazy thing. Oh, really, Dylan? Oh my goodness. Have you? Well, I don't know if I'm like, am I allowed to ask? Did she know, like, about that stuff? And I'm sorry if she was a victim and all this either. I know they haven't. Positively identified them, but I'm very sorry if that is the case. And oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm sorry. And I am guessing. I mean, I'm just speculating that he was probably the one who did all this. Like, it just feels that way from his situation, I guess, because he was going to court today, but that's horrible. And I'm sorry you guys are having to deal with that right now. Oh, well, that makes sense. So he was lying to her and telling her that he was like being falsely accused or something like that, which doesn't surprise me. So maybe that's why he... Oh, that's terrible. That's a shame. Oh, that's just sad all the way around. He told his mother yesterday he was going to do it. No way. That's... Oh my... And she knew about that and did nothing? Who doesn't call? Yes, no matter what he said, she believed him. Wow. That is terrible. If somebody told me something like that, I'd be on the phone with the police right away. I bet she feels horrible right now. Well, I hope she feels horrible. I mean, no, I don't want to say that. That sounds mean. But how could you not report something like that if he said he was going to do that? I shouldn't have said that, but my two great nieces. Oh, so it was 2 girls and 1 boy? Because I thought it, like, from what they're reporting, I thought it was 2 boys. 2 boys and 1 girl. I'm so sorry. What a piece of garbage human. I was blown away. I can't, like, I wonder what, like it seems like he knew that everything was going to come out, and just, and my niece is Ivy McFadden. He killed her children. Okay. Oh, so yeah, it was 2 girls and a boy. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible. Well, if you guys have like a GoFundMe or anything like that, I will certainly share it out for you. My email is in my about. Okay. My email is in my about section if you want to send me any links or anything like that. And okay, Jen. Thank you, LFT. Okay, that makes sense because of the name, yeah, because the children can't be called. Yeah, I will certainly, if there's anything I can do, Decipher Radio. Thank you guys. If there's anything I can do to help you guys out, because I'm sure it's going to be a terrible burden on your family to, that's just, I can't even imagine. So, yeah, butterfly kisses, you're already here. So I will certainly, share out their move to Tulsa about an hour ago. And, if you, I agree. Well, if you guys, ever want to come up or anything too, and, say your piece, you're welcome. But yeah, it takes a really crappy human being to hurt any child, or anybody for that matter, but children especially. For sure. Hey, LFT. But yeah, if you guys, here, I could just put my email in chat. Here you go. If you want to send me like a GoFundMe or anything that I can do to help, seriously, I will share that out. And I have plenty of people who will as well to help you guys out. And hey, everyone from the Cypher. You're told, yeah. Well, that's kind of like what I figured it was, like, from what it sounded like. I mean, I guess you really can't. They really can't say anything yet, but that's what it sounded like to me. Yeah. Oh, and Decipher will share it too. Different locate. Wow. That's weird. Like each one, like you were told each one, or like, oh, that's weird. Or maybe it was like, the girls were like hanging together in one area, but that is strange that they were all in different locations. But I put my email in chat, so if you guys have anything that you want to share, or if you ever want to come up and put anything out there, I don't know if you're always welcome to come up. Oh, that's really strange. It's really strange. Like each one in a different spot. Yeah, I was looking at the pictures too. Like, it was a pretty big property here. I can show pictures. Well, I only have the ones that were like on Facebook. Let's see. I can't believe it. It's just. Here you go. Hold on. Oh yeah, and so anyone who is just coming in, Holly's sister, right, is in chat, and she will make it a big point to not crucify her sister, because he was, I can recap it. All right, let me just do a little recap for everybody coming in. But if you guys were just talking about it, you probably know what I'm talking about. But in a nutshell, what sparked off this whole thing was these two young girls were reported missing. And Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer. And they were staying at, Holly's aunt. Okay, sorry. They were staying at their friend's house, which is Holly's daughter, or Holly's house. They were sleeping there. They had stayed there before. There was never any problems before they had stayed there. no indication that like anything would be different, you know. Oh, you didn't learn until January. And how long were they married for? Do you know? So when they didn't show up, they were supposed to go swimming, and when they didn't show up the next day, an Amber Alert was set out because I guess when they found out. Oh yeah, I can drop the link for you. I didn't know. You're always welcome to come up, Dylan. Like if you want to come up and talk, the link is right there. If you want to come up and speak, but you know, no pressure. I should have put it earlier, but I didn't want to like pressure you. But yeah, so when they went looking for these girls, they knew that this guy, they had looked, I guess, you know, they looked into the guy's background or looked up the name and seen. Hi.
Hey, I don't want my picture up. We've been crying.
Oh, that's fine. Your camera's not up. It's just your little like avatar.
I was going to show you my picture so you knew how it was. But we learned today that they got married in May. We were told Christmas they got married on the 24th, but we learned today that's a lie.
So they weren't together that long then?
No. They lived on Holly. The street is Holly, and that property in Henryetta, right outside Henryetta. And Thursday night, Tiffany had a choir concert at the school. So my brother is Holly's dad. Him and his wife went to see the concert. He was at the school. So as a registered sex offender, how was he at a school?
But that's a good question. I don't know, because they're not allowed to be around schools as far as I know.
He never misses a See, I had said something because he's almost 40, and I was like, he has no social media, he has no children, he was never married before. Was he in jail for a long time? Like, and
he just got out in 2020.
Yeah,
right?
and I told my sister-in-law, my brother, and because my brother's like, yeah, I think it's weird too, but they were real private. This is how we found out he was a registered sex offender. My brother was at work, and the boss came and said, you guys, I'm hiring a man. He's a registered sex offender. He's 22. At 18, he was a senior in high school and was with a freshman girl. Are y'all going to have a problem with it? And I guess they all talked, and they were like, no.
So they made it like it was like.
No, this isn't him. So my brother decides he goes home that night, and he pulls up the Henryetta, Oklahoma registered sex offender to look the new employee up he's going to be working with to make sure he's being told the truth. And we see a picture. He sees a picture of Jesse.
Oh my gosh.
So he calls my sister-in-law, her name's Jeanette. We are close. And he says, I don't think Holly knows. There's no way she would be with this man if she knew. So they decided to get her away from him and take her out to dinner. And she blew everybody's mind and said she knew, but it was a false allegation. He did his time. And he did his debt to society, and then told us that the police knew that the kids were there. And that the parole officer comes in every month. He knows, which we've learned today was not true.
The parole officer and stuff didn't know that her children were there? Like living? Oh my God.
And he's registered to her address. That's how he found out. That's how my brother found out.
Yeah.
So Riley, the oldest one, just turned 17. So everybody was in the talks because this is crazy, you guys. But I'll tell y'all first. Riley was texting a boy about a month ago because it was her birthday. And Jesse found Riley's cell phone and pulled her out of school and said she could no longer go to school and was homeschooling her. And my brother is like, he's acting like a jealous boyfriend. That's not even his child, right?
Yeah, that's weird because she was she's 17.
Exactly. And the boy was 17.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
doing
weird.
what normal. Yeah. And he was like, he's not even her father. Who is he? And he was saying, Holly, why are you allowing him to parent these kids? Not only that, they went and picked Tiffany up on a track meet, and he monitored her Tiffany's whereabouts. So my brother called him and said, look, why are you stalking my grandchild? I raised her. She's with me. And he said, I'm not doing it. It's her mom. And he goes, I'm not stupid. It's you. And then he told them this was Thursday, that they couldn't see the grandkids. Well, we don't know that Holly was killed today because Friday, from Holly's cell phone, my sister-in-law got a text and it said, Mom, don't freak out if you can't reach me all weekend. Because
so it might have been a couple of days ago.
Yeah, because it said, Mom, don't freak out if you can't get a hold of me this weekend. I dropped my phone, all our phones, in a mud puddle. And my sister-in-law texts back, then how are you texting me?
Yeah.
And that was it. The phones were shut off. You couldn't reach none of the phones.
And what day was that?
That's on Friday. Well, they camp a lot, so we didn't freak out. None of us freaked out. And I just said, well, he's weird. I'm telling y'all, he's weird. I'm not going to lie. I told her, if something happens to those kids, I told my brother this. It's your fault. Now I feel sorry for saying it because it's not his fault. But I was angry.
Yeah.
Well, the police called my sister today, and they said, hey, do you know where Jessie is? And I call her my sister, but she's my sister-in-law. And with your daughter, Holly, is she there? And she said, no, we haven't heard from her since Friday. And the police said, can you send us that text? Well, when I went online, nothing mentioned Holly or the kids. It was just that it was only Ivy and Brittany and Jesse. And I said, so I called the police and said, why isn't my niece, my great two nieces, and my nephew on that? And they said, well, we need someone to do a missing persons. I filed the missing persons report, me. And they called my sister-in-law and my brother and said, because they're in Arkansas, and said, can you please come here, but don't go by the house, go straight to the police department. And that's a 4-hour, because they had to go pick up Holly's sister. And that was a 4-hour drive. And during that 4-hour drive, they got the information that the coroner was there. Then they got the information that they found the 2 girls and Jesse, but nothing was released yet because the police hadn't talked. So we were still in hopes that the other 5 were alive, my niece and her kids. And then they called and told us that all 7 bodies were found, that he killed them all.
Gosh. And they were all in different, like each and every one of them was in a different spot.
This is what's crazy is that my sister called and said, he's kidnapped. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was upset with Holly because I was like, we didn't know he had court today. We just found out today. I said, you know what? She's ran with him. But then why would they take 2 other girls? That doesn't make sense. I said, that's throwing me off. Like,
she must not have known the extent of it though, because
this is what I think. I think one or 2 things happened. She caught him doing something to one of those kids at the sleepover.
I thought that too. Like maybe something blew up because she caught him doing something. Either that or she didn't know the extent of what was going to come
out. Or that he knew Monday when he went to court, because she's on the witness list. She was going to testify that, because he was going to court because while he was in jail, I don't know why he was let out, but he was caught sending pictures and receiving pictures of an underage girl. But because of COVID, he got let out. Yep, in jail. The police confirmed today the pictures he sent that girl was in his jail cell. So he could not deny it. So he was lying to Heather and Holly, telling him he didn't do it. But when she sees that picture, there's no denying it. She's going to know when he looks naked. He's in his jail cell with the police. And so we didn't know that. So we think 1 or 2 things is that either she caught him doing something inappropriate and it blew up, or he knew if she went to court, which she was planning on going to court because she's on the witness list, she would learn the truth. But then his mom called us and told us that Saturday he called her and said he was going to kill himself because he's not going back to prison. He spent 20 years there and he's not going back for this crime. He's not. And that he's going to kill himself and he's going to take his family with him. That bitch did not report it to nobody. She could have saved everyone's life if she would have just called the police and asked for a
wellness check or something.
Yes, and this is the kicker too. The gun he
Did
had.
she say why she didn't do anything?
No, we've asked her to quit calling us. We are like,
I'd
the
be
gun
mad
he
too.
had. She gave him the gun. The mother.
Like recently?
We don't know how recent, but so she not only knew he had access to a gun, but she knew that he said he's not going back to jail. He would die and he would take his family with him. She told us that in a text message. So we have evidence. We gave it to the police, but she could have stopped all this Saturday.
Yeah.
So when he went and picked those two girls up, that was not planned. That was his suggestion. So we're kind of wondering, did he do away with my family and then abuse those girls?
So wait, it was his suggestion to pick them up?
Yep, and they never went to the property. They never went. And Saturday, he took the car to the neighbor and said, "Hey, I need to hide this car from my family. He did that on Saturday.
Oh, so I think something definitely happened on Friday. Maybe.
The last time we've had any contact, we heard her voice was on Thursday. But we got that text on Friday. We don't know. We've gotten two different confirmations that the girls came and spent the night on Thursday. But they were seen Saturday, but nobody's given us confirmation that Tiffany was seen with them.
Oh my gosh.
And at 1:30 a.m.
So
this
wait,
morning,
Tiffany wasn't even with them. So like maybe I wonder if he lied to them and been like, "Oh, Tiffany."
The police told us, the sheriff told us, and it's not even the sheriff anymore. The Oklahoma Bureau of Investigations took over, that he is headed to Tulsa right now. He'll see the examiner and then he'll meet with us and answer any questions. But that my sister-in-law wanted to come identify the bodies, and he said, we need dental records to identify the children.
Oh my gosh. Did they say like what kind of like gun he used?
No, but we asked, did he shoot them or drug them? Because we had a suspicion that he had drugged Holly before one time. And he said, I can't answer any of that until after the state examiner in Tulsa looks over all the bodies. And we asked for them to do a autopsy to make sure if he didn't harm the girls.
Well, if he drugged her, they won't know that for like a couple of weeks. The toxicology takes a while, so you won't know that for a while. But I mean, autopsy, you guys will get answered.
Yeah, but then we got a phone call from his rape victim, and she called me on Facebook. The girl he raped, when he raped her,
use the word like essay.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. But just
his victim that he spent 20 years in prison for. Mm-hmm. After he did what he did to her, she reported it. The police found him at the riverbank, and he had cut both wrists. So that's what he did the first time. So she said she wasn't surprised to learn that
so he's clearly not mentally
well. No.
Was she like a kid? Her?
Yes. I think she was 16, she said.
Oh my goodness. And he was like an adult at the time?
Yes. Yeah, he had to have been over the legal age. Yeah. And then there's rumors that we can't confirm, but his brother, when the police went to his house this morning, his brother had somebody in a cage, and he's in jail.
His brother had someone in a cage?
Yes.
What in the world?
Yeah.
Did he own this property, or was it
his parents? The property is humongous.
I know. I'm looking at the picture of it here. I'll share it.
Yeah, there's a drone footage of the bodies out in the field. How they found the bodies, because when my sister said he took my sister-in-law took my babies and my daughter, and I said, how did he get 5 teenagers, your daughter and him in that truck? It just doesn't make sense. I said, I hate to say this, but please tell the police to go inside the house and do a search of the property, a wellness check. And so she did, and they called back and they said, yes, because he is on parole, he doesn't have a Fourth Amendment right. So they could enter the house, and they didn't see anything in the house. Nobody was there. So they told us that. But
they were all found outside?
Apparently, because they said, they called us and said they had sent a drone up because the property is so massive, and they had to get a search warrant to go and do this. Even though they could enter the house, they can't enter the property because they didn't own the property. Holly and them just rented this house on this property, and he doesn't have a Fourth Amendment right, meaning the police could come in at any time because he's on parole. But the surrounding property, they can't do that. So they had to sit there and wait until 3:00 to get the search warrant, and they sent up a drone, and that's how they found the truck. And they called us and said, we found the truck, but there's nobody in it. And we're like, where did you find the truck? And they're like, in the field next door. He asked the neighbor if he could store it there, hide it there from a family member.
Well, I bet you there's something in the truck that he doesn't want them to find too.
Or something, because that's why they got the search warrant and sent up the drones, and that's how they found everybody. Wow. Was with the drones. And I called my sister and was like, hey, there is the medical examiner in the corner there. And she said, I know. And I called them. They're like, nobody's in the house, not to worry, just go to the police station. And I knew right then, this is not going to end well. There's not a corner medical examiner there.
Yeah, they don't just show up for no reason. I mean, if they,
But yeah, we learned in January that Holly knew. She knew. But to what extent?
To what extent?
She believed the girl made it up, and he did his time, and that was it. But we don't know if we know now, but she never said nothing about court. We did not know he was going to court Monday. None of that.
So I wonder what his story about court was then. Like,
she had to know because somebody posted it on social media on the docket. She's a witness. So she had to know, but she, because I called back and I said, hey, look, to my brother, he's got these charges from 2017. She told us that those were already taken care of. He was found not guilty. And I didn't know to go look at a docket. I took it for what it was.
She lied and said he was found not guilty, but she had to know that he wasn't because she was a witness.
Yeah.
But she might not have known the extent of the details, because usually they like, you find most of that is found out in court.
Yeah. And also the police told us, because we wanted to go in and get her belongings and the kids' belongings, the crime scene will be closed for 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks, they said. We can't even enter the house. They had a vigil at the kids' school tonight, though, that my family attended. But Tiffany's name, she is not Tiffany McFadden. Her name is Tiffany Guess. Riley and Michael, their name was never released or on the Amber Alert because we couldn't get there in time to put the missing person report in person. But the police knew. And we're just assuming that they assumed Riley was a male just because of the name, but she's a female.
Okay. Yeah, because I was wondering that when you were like,
Riley just turned 17 last month.
That's insane. How old, if you don't mind me asking?
Michael's 15, and then Tiffany's 15. Yeah, they were like, Michael was going to be a junior. You can go on Holly McFadden on Facebook, and you can see she has just posted pictures of them running track last week.
Oh.
Tiffany just had a birthday. They all just had birthdays. And then those two innocent girls, they're not even related. Now, the Ivy and Michael were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Is this her right here?
That's Michael. Yes, that's her page. That Michael. Yes, that's Holly.
So pretty too. Wow, she's way prettier than this
we
guy.
Said the same thing.
Like, what is she doing with this guy?
And then, okay, if you go down to that's Tiffany right there. With the hat on. That's Tiffany. You should. So
this is the friend of. She was friends with the two girls. Oh wow. She's beautiful.
That's Tiffany. She was just in track. The comments on there are horrible. They're just attacking Holly. And then if you go down, you'll see Michael's picture.
If you want, I can
That's my brother. If you go down one, that's my brother right there. They just wished him happy birthday. His grandson, Michael James, is born on the same day. That's why they're named after each other.
Okay, so her
That's
dad
her
is your
dad.
brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
And go down. This is Michael, her son. That
He looks just like an actor, and I can't
Yeah.
think of who it is, but it's
Those
driving me
kids are
crazy.
beautiful. And then she doesn't have a recent public picture of Riley, just because Riley is a little bit shyer. But yeah.
Is that her?
Yes, she told us they got married in December 24th, but we learned today they actually got married
Oh,
in
is this
May.
all 3 of them right here?
Huh? That's
that
them. That's Riley. Yes, that's Riley, Tiffy, and Michael James. We call him Michael James.
This is terrible. I mean, if you want, I can clip, like, if you want it out there, I can clip just like our
My sister-in-law, I call her my sister, but it's my sister-in-law. She was just crying. She was like, even Ashley Banfield got it wrong. And then I had called the detectives and made this in person. So I got
don't be shocked. Ashley Banfield gets less.
Yeah. She's calling Riley a boy, and I was just like, you know what? Just sleep tonight, and I got a contact from the New York Post, and because my name is filed on the missing persons report as well, and I was like, you know what? We haven't identified the bodies yet. Please just give us until tomorrow. But my sister was like, I want my baby's names out there. She is not Tiffany McFadden. We won't even bury.
Why did they give her the like?
We don't know. The police said they didn't do that, but she's not even going to bury Holly under Holly McFadden. She's going to bury her under Holly Guess. She's like, she's not going to have that last name.
I wouldn't want him associated on anything. Like,
but they told us they don't know who got killed or who got harmed first. That it will be up to about 2 weeks to process the crime scene.
I mean, I can imagine with everybody being in a different place, and it's probably, I mean, that whole place, anything could have been dropped, or like, you know what I mean? That whole place is a potential.
Oh, yes. And are there any other victims? We don't know. I mean, if you can harm that many, do you have others? He was always out there hunting wild pigs. Was he really doing that on that big property? So they're processing it. Yeah, they're processing it all, especially what they found his brother today. So it's no longer the Henryetta police or that county. It's taken over by Oklahoma.
Well, if you guys have like a GoFundMe or like anything that I can help you guys with, or even just sharing the information the right way.
I think what we want people to say is, Holly made a mistake. She loved her children. She wouldn't have put her children in harm's way if she knew that. Trust me.
Obviously, this guy wasn't being
honest. We
honest.
don't understand it. We were doing everything we can. My brother was making preparations to bring the grandkids to him. But it would have been done quicker if we would have had.
Like that's what I was wondering too. I'm like, did they just get together? Because now that I have more of like a clarification, like they just got together recently. It's not that long. It makes more sense to me, because it's like
he got out of jail in October 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. We're thinking, and we are being told, you'll be the first to hear this, that she visited him when he was in prison while she was married. She didn't get a divorce until May of 2022. So she married him just a matter of days after her divorce was final, and didn't tell nobody. We didn't know.
How would she even? Well, I mean, how would she even like meet him while he was in jail?
That's what we don't know. We're trying to find out how. She never would talk about it. She was so close to my brother, like they were so close. But the minute she got with him, he just alienated her. Like, she didn't come to family functions. The kids weren't allowed. They were just pushing everybody out.
The fact that he took that girl, Riley, out of school for talking to a boy her age is just.
The police didn't even know that until I told them today. When that was before, when we just thought they were missing.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But the state failed those children. How could you not know kids were in there? How did you not go in every bedroom?
Oh yeah, this happened. Sadly, this happens a lot, and I don't know how it goes under the radar so much. But how was this man going to schools? You know,
Birthday parties. He's been at every birthday party, every track meet. He was there.
You wouldn't believe how many cases.
Henryetta is not big. It is a small little rural town in Oklahoma. It is not big. How did nobody know? Everyone wants to blame Holly. Well, how did you know? How did those parents? Nobody. They didn't know. People are like, how could you let your kids go? They didn't know. Nobody would have let their kids if they knew.
No way.
And the reason they had real concern is because at 1:30 a.m. Ivy's 360 live got turned off, so he had to have done it.
Oh yeah, he knew what he. Yeah, that was definitely something he did on purpose, in my opinion. Like, he had to have been planning it. Well, obviously, he told his mom. You know,
and then we got the weird text on Friday that I dropped all of our phones in a mud puddle, and she said, "Well, then how are you texting me from your phone?" And boom, no response, and the phone was shut off.
Yeah, that's so strange.
And so the police was like, "She texted what?" And I'm like, "She texted and said." Now we don't even think it was her; we think it was him.
Oh yeah, I'll bet money that it was him. At this point, from like what you said, I wouldn't be shocked if he texts those girls pretending to be
like, "Yeah, you want to come over?"
Yeah. And then saying, "Oh, my dad will just come," or my stepdad will come pick you up, or whatever.
Yeah, we said, when the girls were picked up or dropped off, was Tiffy and Holly, did they see them? And they said, "We don't know. That's part of our investigation right now." Because one of the girls had been there since Thursday because there was no school Friday. The other one came Saturday.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. And you just don't understand. Riley's birthday got canceled. She was having a birthday party. It got canceled because she texted a boy. And now all of a sudden, Tiffy was getting to have a sleepover, but she was never allowed them before, unless it was her birthday. It just, I don't know, but they won't tell us until the morning.
Well, this is
And
just
yeah. And
horrible.
it's just, I asked when I called the police, I said, how did his parole officer not know there was children in that home? You can't tell me that he didn't walk through those bedrooms and no children were here. She has a little.
Did they even go to the house?
They said they go every month. And I said, she has a vanity. You can walk in there. She has cow pictures. You can very much tell it's a young girl's bedroom. It don't even look like a teenage room. It looked a lot younger. How did they not know?
That's crazy to me. I mean, how do you go there? Would they make them hide every month? Like,
that's what I said. I was like, did they run them out in the field and say? I mean, I'm like, or did they really come every month?
They might not. I mean,
the state failed them. Why was he out on bond? If while he was in jail, he got caught with a cell phone. Why did they let him out? Why? You knew what his crime was to get in there, and you he did that. Why is he out on bond? They try to say it's because COVID.
Yeah.
And those children weren't his. They weren't his biological children. And see, we were told that the police knew, that they were okay with it. And I said, I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. I'm sorry. I don't believe Holly. I think she's lying. I can't imagine with his record, he can live with children that aren't his. And because they said, oh, because they're over 13. And I was like, but that's the age of his victim.
Yeah. Well, like how old is he? Do you know?
38 or 39, I believe.
I can
look. I'm not quite sure.
And how old was Holly?
Holly was 35. And they just she was pregnant with twins. And she lost the twins.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she lost the twins. I'm sorry. my sister, they came to visit me in the summer. Okay, it's been about 6 months. They lost the twins, and then when we learned that he was a registered person, we were like, thank God. That was a
Yeah. Oh my
blessing.
gosh.
You know, who would ever thought that? But yeah.
Or who would ever thought it would even come?
Yeah, we did not learn until January, and it was just by sheer craziness that we learned. It wasn't because she told us, but of course we went to tell her because we didn't think she knew, but she did know. She just said he was innocent and he was falsely accused of a crime.
Yeah, I'm sure that he told her that,
Yeah.
someone lied on him, and
Of course, you know. But
he's
I
got
said,
a lot of charges.
yes, he does.
Oh my.
Larceny, just it goes on and on.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. But I am actually going to get off here because we are supposed to meet the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigators early. But just thank you for giving us a voice for the kids, because their name's not out there. They are innocent victims.
And I will make sure
and I'll
if I
email
see
you
anyone saying anything,
you
I'm
know,
gonna put them in their place and tell them, no, that's not how it
no,
went
yeah,
down.
nobody would have had the kids there if they knew this was coming. I don't condone what Holly did. I love her. She's my niece. I do not think it was a wise decision, and she knew I didn't think it was a wise decision. We weren't actually talking because I didn't approve of it, but it didn't mean I didn't love her.
She would have never, foreseen
No.
something like this coming,
No,
or ever
and I
would have
believe that she saw some good in him that none of us could see. I think she believed that he was changed and he was a good person.
Well, if
And
you guys have anything you want me to share that can help, or if anything, my email is just Kate Does Crime, like my channel at Gmail, like no spaces or anything.
okay. And I'll put Holly's name in the headline so you know it's me, because my email will be a different address.
Okay, yeah, and
Thank you so
anything
much.
I can do to help, I
Y'all
will.
just keep my sister-in-law and brother in your prayers, and my niece Heather, her sister, because I mean they literally lost half their family. They have 2 children, 2 girls.
I can't even imagine. I'm sorry for your family's loss and for your
Well,
loss.
thank you for just letting me share the truth and being so kind. Thank you.
Thank you for coming up and talking with me. I appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Well, that story is just so heartbreaking. I'm like a little sad. I feel like I'm gonna cry a little bit. You never know, you know what I mean? And I'm sure if Holly had even a tidbit of, it changed so much for me to hear that, they just got together, and clearly she did not know the depth of, what this guy was capable of. And this is just a senseless tragedy. And we appreciate her for coming up so much. Thank you to you. Thank you. Well, yeah, I'll make sure I share this out. And yeah, what strength you had to come up and talk about this. And hopefully they get some answers soon. But this is just, I can't believe it. It's so sad. Well, on that note, I'm going to get off here. Yeah, it's really hard to trust people these days. And I can't stress it enough. I think everything right now going on in the true crime world, it's so heavy. Like, it gets me emotional almost every single day. Like, I think just in this, the last few cases that are like the trials and everything going on, just shows, if you let people into your life and around your family, you can't just trust people anymore. Like, look into them, do your research, because we got the Gannon Stout case where his stepmother, she was not mentally stable and not in any place to be caring for him. And then, oh my gosh, that other case that just happened, oh my gosh, with that little girl and the father's wife wanted to get back at his ex and killed her daughter and put her in a bucket and left it on her front lawn. It's like every case lately has been not making sure you check out who you're inviting into your family and just what people are capable of. And man, you never know what people are telling you and feeding you and making you believe. You just never know. And, go with your gut and your instinct. If you feel like anything's wrong, get out of there. Vallow and Chad, yeah, it was awful, Abra. I was just reading about it over the weekend. It was awful. The little girl was so cute. And look at these 3 beautiful kids. And those 2, and not only these 3 beautiful children, but the daughter's 2 friends as well. 6 children, all killed on this senseless tragedy because this guy, you know what I mean? It's just, it's sad. But I would bet money that this guy was feeding her total lies and just, telling her, oh, that's not true. She lied on me, It is a cool place, but thanks, K-Brace. Thank you guys for coming. And, hopefully we get more answers soon. And I will be back. Let's see. Wednesday, I guess. Probably Wednesday. Once I get any new information, I'll be back Wednesday. I can't. It's too rough on me to do every day. I need a good day in between. Yeah, maybe she was afraid of him. Good point, Linda. Good point. You never know. Yeah, that happens a lot of the time too. Oakley, her mother, she was clearly afraid of that case too. It's insane. She was afraid of her boyfriend who was abusive to her daughter. He would take it out on her too. You never know what people are going through. So. All right, good night, guys. Thank you for coming. I will catch y'all Wednesday. Yeah, gotta have down days to reset for sure. I will see y'all Wednesday. Night.